This video is for my mom's book club. First off, hi mom, I love you. Second off, hi book club ladies. My mom asked me to pick books for her to like give as ideas to book club. And I don't know how to do anything halfway. So instead I created a whole video pitching each of the books and why I think they should be read by book club. For my over dramatics, you can blame my mom. She's the one that raised me. So first book that I think that should be read in a book club, any book club, but in this case, this book club, is probably a little bit different than the traditional books that have been read in the past. I think Project Hail Mary, this is a little bit of sci-fi. It's a lot sci-fi. I mean, it takes place in space, but it is an incredible, incredible book. For anyone who's an audiobook listener, it's a great audiobook. It will teach you about being respectful of differences in this world. It's alien life, but just in general, important messages about working together to save the planet. Also important messages about decisions that kind of need to be made to help push the future forward. And would you make those decisions? I really like this one. It's also a movie, so it could be a fun thing for everybody to get together to do and watch the movie. It's a great movie as well. Next one is called Mary Jane. I won't really say a lot about this one, but what's on the surface isn't always what it seems to be. And I think this speaks greatly to that. It might be a good one for like summertime. Honestly, you could read it anytime. Another one, The Art Thief. Now, I have not read this one, but it is quickly growing to the top of my want to read list. Obviously, I mean, I bought it. So I think that this book sounds very interesting. I think you guys would think this book sounds very interesting. It's also not super long, so I feel like people could get through it pretty quickly. All right, this one, I'm taking a shot in the dark. I think romances isn't really the vibe of book club. This is not a traditional romance. I would say this is definitely, I mean, romance is in the title, but this is a book about a woman finding herself. She has gotten divorced, and now she is trying to discover who she is as a person, not just as a wife and a mom. And so she is going through that and happens to find someone that she's interested in along the way. So it's a little bit different than just your standard. I think it leans, in my opinion, a little more literary fiction than it necessarily does romance, but I do think it's categorized in the romance section. So this still, I would say, is it is romance, but just with a little bit more reality or harder things that she goes through than just your standard romance. This one, I have no idea if this will be a winner or not. Song of Achilles, it's got Greek mythology in it. It has just some very interesting and unique characters that I think need to be read about. Local Woman Missing is the next one that I have on the list. This is a mystery book. It is about a woman who goes jogging. She goes out jogging. You're introduced to her at the beginning. She's on a run. All of a sudden, this woman goes missing. And then you start to unravel more and more things that are happening kind of in this town. I did not see the twist coming at the end. I think when I went back and I've read it a second time since, it was totally right there in the writing. I just didn't see it coming. And I had a fun time with this one. I actually read it for my book club. This one I think you guys would really like, but it is like a autobiography. It is called Educated. It is about a woman who grows up in the Mormon religion. It's like a branch off kind of the Mormon religion. It's more of almost kind of a cult type version of, I think it starts off in the Mormon religion and then it veers and it becomes something else. And it's about growing up in a really strict household and what education looked like for her being in a really strict household that didn't really put a lot of value on education. I think it's a really good book. It would cause a lot of really good discussions. This is also one that I haven't read, but again, is really high on my list to read. And based on what I know about this book, I think it would make a great book club book, The Lion Women of Tehran. I like I said, read it, read the synopsis. You guys decide for yourselves. I think it would be a great book club book. This is probably my number one choice for any book club, and it's called The Names. I think this is a fascinating book. It is about a woman who has a son, and she is at a kind of a crossroads in her life, and she's trying to decide between 3 different names to name her son. And these 3 different names are going to impact this child the rest of his life. And you follow the path as if he were named the 3 different names. And it is just interesting what one little choice can make so much difference in one person's life, or a whole family's life for that matter. I really like this one. Phenomenal conversation topics with this book. This one is really cool. I actually recently just met the author of The Wedding People. She is a fascinating human being herself, but this book is about a woman who she's just come to a point in her life where she's in a really dark place, and she goes to kind of a bucket list place that she's always wanted to go to. And she goes there thinking she probably doesn't have much longer that she's going to be living. And she goes to this location, and there's this huge wedding taking place. A massive, massive wedding. And it is for a very wealthy person. It's a week-long wedding. And she meets the bride, and she kind of tells the bride of her plans, and the bride is having none of it. And it's about watching both of these women kind of figure out who they are, and having a sounding board with each other to grow and to just kind of better themselves. I really like this one. And like I said, the author, very interesting. She's a professor. And so she kind of talked about her writing process, which I think makes this book even more interesting. And she's done a lot of interviews and stuff like that, so you could always read more about that. And then lastly, well, not lastly, I do have a couple other, but these are the last 2 that I own. These 2, I think you should do one of these 2. I think you could do both, but you have Finding Grace and Blue Sisters. These are very, very different. They're not the same type of book at all. However, I do think they have the same type of writing style in them. They're very much character development writing, especially this one. You're really finding out about all of these individuals. This one is about a sister. One of these 4 ladies has passed away, and the other 3 sisters are kind of dealing with that grief. And they're growing not only individually, but together. There's some growth together, and watching them go down that path of grief was interesting to me, and how all 3 of them deal with the same situation in such different ways. This one is about a man and a woman, and the woman and goes to a cafe, and something terrible happens, and the man needs to kind of move forward now, and he finds someone that looks exactly like his wife, or a lot like his wife. It's not exactly like his wife, but a lot like his wife. And there's a reason why this is a big deal, and I don't want to spoil any of it. But him trying to navigate his situation is also interesting in comparison to Blue Sisters. It's both kind of dealing with grief in a way, and how different people deal with that. And I think that that's a really interesting through line to read about. And I think, again, it would cause a really good discussion for book club. So I am giving, I guess, sad books, because the next book that I'm thinking of is Things I Wish I Told My Mother. Now, some of you might have read it, because I know I recommended it to my mom. Maybe she recommended it to some other people. But the Things I Wish I Told My Mother is, I mean, that book, it takes you on a journey. It definitely deals with grief. It deals with just talking to people that are still in your life, and how important that is. And I think that's a message that everybody could always learn about. And then the last one I was thinking of was The Burning Side. Now, that's a newer release book, so it might not be super readily available, but The Burning Side by Sarah DeMoff it was a very interesting book. It's about a relationship that's on the rocks, and all of a sudden their house catches on fire and everything is destroyed. Then this couple has to move back with her parents. And they aren't really telling people that their relationship is on the rocks. So they're trying to navigate this world of now we're under somebody's house and we're trying to act like everything's normal, and it's not normal. On top of that, we've lost everything that we owned. And that again, I mean, obviously I think they're all interesting because that's why I'm recommending them. But they're interesting books. So I hope you guys pick at least one of them. And if you do, let me know which one and how you liked it.